Okay, welcome back. So in this video we're going to look at how to replicate the down part, which is this text area. Going to the picture again, we have this in the picture. We have the title of the color, and then we have the value. Now there are many ways we can replicate this. And maybe we'll try one or two methods. So let's start with the very first one. Now if you look at this, what comes to mind? If you look at it, first of all, you see that it looks as if the hex and the color are on the same line. The RGB and the value is on the same line. HSL and this value is on the same line. Okay, so they all look like they are on the same line. So they can be one line, two lines, three lines. All right, and then see that the titles H, RGB, and HSL have the same color. And then these ones too have their own colors. Okay, so let's get straight into the code and see what we can do. Let me push it a little bit to the side. Let me collapse this, expand this a little bit, so we have okay. So right here, right now, let's go down with the first element. Okay, so our goal is to replace this text, all right, with the content that we want. So let's remove the text, and then inside it we have hex with its color, which is D8 blah blah blah. We have RGB with this color and all that. So how do we structure this? So let's try something. First of all, we can use paragraph tag and wrap this inside paragraph tag, and then we can wrap this one inside a strong tag. That's the color itself inside a strong tag. Okay, so here we have hex, the key, the title. Then we have remember that paragraph tag is a display block element, so it will occupy the entire line, which in this case now is the entire line of its parent element. It can't occupy an entire line that is beyond its parent element. So since its parent element has a defined width already, so for instance the parent element for that now is this particular box inside this text, so it will occupy the entire space from the beginning here to the end here. It won't exceed the parent element's boundary. Okay, so we have this hex, and then the strong will make the text inside it bold. So this D87 stuff will become bold when rendered. All right, to become bold when rendered. So exactly that we have it here. It becomes bold when rendered. So let's refresh the page and see what we have. Okay, so here we have it. We have hex, and then we have the value. Now because these things are inline elements, so automatically there is a space here. All right, so let's flesh it out for the other one. Let's just copy and paste, then change the value to RGB and 216 12574, and then we have the next one HSL 22 degrees. How do I get degrees on my keyboard now? Anyway, I'm going to use minutes as degree. It should be minutes or this. I'm going to use minutes as degrees. 65% and 57%. So okay, going to the browser and refreshing. All right, so we have it. We have hex, this, RGB, this. So that the color, hex, RGB stuff, they are exactly inside the box that was provided by these elements here. All right, okay, so that is what we have. So if I remove this color, these boxes now, let's comment this one out and refresh. So we have it like this now. Okay, so one other thing I would like to do is just to change. Let me just change I don't like the fonts. Let me just change the font family to something like, let me see, Korean New, this monospace. I need a sans serif font. Fedana Geneva Home. This should be sans serif. Let me use Arial Helvetica sans serif. Okay. So I prefer this. I prefer this font. Okay, so see that we have it already. The only thing that we might need to add is the space between the title and the text. Give it a little bit of space and all that. So, and to achieve that, we could add a margin left to these strong tags to achieve that, or we could wrap this hex into what's it called? We could wrap it inside a span element and give it a padding right to create the space, or we can also target every paragraph tag that has a strong inside it and add the stuff we want to add to the strong. So let's say, for instance, we have a paragraph tag that has strong. Let's just give it a background color of red. Let's see how it looks on the browser. Okay, so right now, see that this particular style now is targeting every strong tag inside a paragraph tag. So we have these strong tags now inside a paragraph tag. So automatically this style now will target every strong tag that is inside a paragraph tag, and to apply a background color of this to it. So if I also add something like a margin left of, let's say, 10px to apply it to it also. So let's make it something like 20. Okay, 25. Just experiment something. All right, so you see that it has added that space there. Okay. But the only thing is that if you look closely, you see that it is not on the same line. So this -d is not on exactly the same line with this. Okay, let's just add the border so that we can see it. Let's add back our border lines. Okay, well, it's not very noticeable, but if you zoom in very well and look closely, you see that it's not on the same line. It's not exactly on the same line. The reason is that hex, RGB, HSL don't occupy exactly the same. You see that RGB is a little bit longer than HSL. The character is a little bit bigger than HSL, like longer. So that's why it pushes this one a little bit in. So this small space between here and here is as a result of RGB not being the same with HSL. You understand? The same thing with hex not being the same with hex. There's a small space also between this and this. It's not exactly a straight line that you have here. All right. So if that is the case, to remedy that, what can we do to remedy that? Okay, so first of all, we can wrap each of these hex, RGB, and HSL inside what? Inside a span element, and then target that span element, okay, and give it a defined width. If you give it a defined, let's say if you give it like maybe 40%, so it will take 40% of the parent. It will take 40% of the parent space. So let's do that and see how it looks. Okay, so we're going to wrap each of these inside the span elements. The span element. Okay, so wrap it inside the span element. Then we'll target that particular span element. All right, we target the span element via p span. Okay, let's give it a width of 40%. So it will take off 40% of the parent's space. Okay, so with that in place, we are going to remove what we applied to the strong, to p strong. We don't. Okay, let's leave the background color. Let's remove the margin. Okay, what then is the problem? 40% not enough for it. Let's give it 50% and see what we have. 60%. Okay, it doesn't give us what we are looking for. Let's see whether it's being targeted. It's being targeted quite alright. Okay, Why is it not working? Okay, what if we give it in px? The same thing. Display inline block. How about inline block? Okay, display inline block does the stuff. All right, so display inline, which is the default state of the span element, doesn't allow it to, you know, conform with the styles we're adding. So that was why I had to add the inline block. So inline block still allows the element, right, to be on the same line with others, but it can now be modified to accept width and all those stuff. Now, without the inline block, we just inline by default. It doesn't respect whether you are giving it 1000 px or not. It doesn't respect that. It doesn't care about that. All right. But when you add, let's say we make it, let's take it back to 40% we have before. It doesn't respect it. But once we make it inline block automatically respects the particular, you know, let's 40 seems to be too much. 20, okay. 20 is still too much. 15, okay. That's not fair. 15, let's say 18. Still too much. Okay, so let's just give it something like 50 px instead of percentage. 50 px works fine. I can reduce it to 40 px, and we can still reduce it further to 30 px. Let's just experiment and see what works best. Okay, 40 px looks good. I make it 40 px because when we remove the borderline now, it will show. Okay, we have to increase it. Make it 50. Yeah, 50 px is okay. So when we remove the border box, that's when we see the actual stuff. So let's remove the border box. Okay, so let's remove the colors. Let's remove the colors around it. Color this gone, color gone. Let's see. Okay, so if you zoom out, see that we have that space in between. So we can actually see that we may need to add more width to it. Let's say make it 70. Okay, so it has that space right now. So we've been able to achieve exactly what we have on design. We have the hex here, and then we have this. Okay, the hex is the color is a little bit muted. It's not exactly black. So we can also achieve that since we already have an element that targets the stuff. We can actually achieve that by adding a color of, let's say 333 should give us the same color. 333 is still, let's say 555. Yeah, something like that. Let's see what we do have here. Can we do 666? Okay, let's see. Let's try 888. Okay, so it looks good now. 888 looks good on it. So we have the exact same design that we have there. So we can remove this bit tag. You don't need it anymore. Then we have width of this. So this applies to all the colors too. So we can now copy what we have. Let's remove this space. Copy what we have inside of these p tags. Then we can apply it inside each of these places. Let's then refresh the page. Okay, so there you go. What we have here. So what is the problem with this one? The color didn't show. Let me see. The second to the last didn't show. Let's see what happened. This is second to, okay, it's FFF. It's full white. It showed. Okay, but it's white, so you wouldn't see anything. I think FFF should be 255, 255, and 255. The HSL, I don't know what the HSL should be. HSL should be what? 0, 0, 100%. Okay. So we have 0, 0, 100%. All right, so the HSL stands for hue, saturation, and lightness. All right, beyond that, let's see what we have on the browser. We have this. Now, on the design, there is a thin line around the white for you to be able to show because by default it will blend with the background. So let's add a thin line. I think this one also might need it, but let's just add it for this first, the white. So since it is it on everyone? Since it is just on this white, right? So we can just apply it straight on this element instead of doing it on the whole element. So we can just apply it here. Style, we call it give it a border of, let's say 1px solid solid what gray. Let's see. Okay, so we have the border, the box around it now, so we can easily see that there is a white color there. All right, so we can do the same thing for, we can add the same border box gray to the one that is just like it. So that's this one. So in the browser, all right, so we have it like this. So we've been able to replicate this design using Flexbox. All right, so if I resize my browser screen and try to, so as I'm resizing, everything is flexing, entering into position and all that. If I reduce the screen, everything breaks into the next line until you have your design. So I believe with this we've been able, okay, we can changing these things is not a problem. Just change the text inside each of them. What do you have inside each one, Seth? Okay, so let's just complete it. But that's basically, we've basically achieved what we want to do. 101010, we have the 16 16 16 16 16, then we have 0 0 6%. All right, so if we check the browser, we have it here now. So basically this is what you have. Just update this ones to the correct color values, and that's all. So thank you for being with me to the end of the tutorial. I believe you've been able to understand the basics of nesting in HTML, how to apply a CSS Flexbox when it comes to elements you want to flex to the new line, to flow to the new line, how to treat each element as a box. So putting back, let me just put back the box so that we can look at something, then we'll just wrap up with that. Sorry, we have it here to here, comment it out, reload. So that everything is like boxes, every single thing is like a box. So when you treat HTML knowing that everything is like a box, you know, that you're dealing with box model, then you'll be able to understand how things work and how to navigate the whole code. So with this explanation about box model, alignment, arrangement, you can apply it anywhere, anytime. Just picture things in boxes in HTML, right? Everything in HTML is a box. So picture them as a box. Then you now ask yourself, how can I manipulate this box to give me what I want? With that, you are good to go. You have every design settled. All right. Thank you very much, and see you in subsequent videos.